Hey guys, how's it going? So about a week ago, I asked you guys via a poll on Twitter and on Instagram what phone you guys want me to get to review. Within about 20 minutes, it was pretty obvious. This phone definitely took the cake, the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. By the way, am I pronouncing it right? Xiaomi? Xiaomi. Shamu. Anyway, the first thing that obviously stuck out to me is the 108 megapixel camera. I thought to myself, yeah, there's no way. There has to be a catch. It's not possible. 108 megapixels. So I obviously saw the reason why many of you guys wanted me to review it. So here it is. Now in this test, I'm going to be comparing it to the 12 megapixel iPhone 11 Pro Max. I don't know about you guys, but 12 and 108 is quite of a big difference on paper. So let's see how it is in the real world. So taking a look at this first photo with this famous palm tree that I always put in all of my videos, right off the bat, they look, pretty similar. The iPhone does look sharper as a whole overall at this current moment. But if you zoom in, for example, to the trunk of the actual palm tree, you can see that the 108 megapixels is actually looking much better. Taking a look at the grass in the background of the palm tree, and like I said, the actual trunk itself. But there is a huge downside to this 108 megapixel goodness, and that is it's actually blurry on the edges. So if we focus in on the actual plants to the bottom right of the photo, you can see that the iPhone does do a much better look and it looks more detailed, and the Xiaomi is starting to be a little blurry and a little less focused. Now here in this next photo is where the 108 megapixel camera really starts to shine. It really only works the best if the subject is medium to far away, and this, what you guys are about to see is exactly what I mean. So looking at this photo at face value, you guys might not be able to see a huge difference right off the bat. But if we zoom into the fence, you guys will automatically see that it's not even a fair comparison. The Xiaomi just looks much better thanks to that 108 megapixel camera. But again, if you look even near the sides of the photograph, the images start to become a little blurry on the Xiaomi. So for example, when I focus in again on those plants right here, you can see that the iPhone is just much more detailed. Now in this next photograph, we're gonna zoom in on the Nightlight that's located on the actual fence. And again, the Xiaomi produces a much sharper looking photo. But if you zoom into the grass, you will start to notice that the iPhone does a better job. So are you guys catching on by now? The iPhone tends to do a better overall image, but the Xiaomi does a fantastic photo if the subject you're shooting is toward the center of the frame. And that's good because that way you can kind of crop out. For example, if you took something and someone got into the frame of the photograph, you can crop them out and the image will still look fantastic thanks to that 108 megapixels. Meanwhile, if you try to crop out someone from a picture on an iPhone, you're gonna get a much less detailed image. But if you're taking pictures of landscapes or of, well, something that's very wide open, I personally would want the entire photograph to be nice and sharp like it is on the iPhone. But again, I can't really complain. Xiaomi is doing a fantastic job as long as you're shooting at the center of the frame. Now looking at this next photograph of the lemons growing in my backyard, again, if you look toward the bottom of the frame, I don't even have to zoom in, but if you look toward the bottom of the frame, you will see that the iPhone's grass is much sharper. But if you zoom into the actual lemons, you can see that there's almost no competition whatsoever. The Xiaomi just looks fantastic. If you look at the mulch inside that black ring, you can just see much more detail on the Xiaomi. Now, another cool feature of the Xiaomi, at least in this 108 megapixel mode and even in the main camera mode without 108 megapixels, is the amazing shallow depth of field that you naturally get with this phone. So for example, in this image, it looks like I'm using portrait mode on the Xiaomi, but this is just a standard 108 megapixel photo. You can look at the bottom of the photo right now. You will see that I am using the 108 megapixel camera. I'm not using any portrait mode or anything. The The Xiaomi just produces a natural bokeh, a natural depth of field, and that's just fantastic. So in this particular photo, I can't really comment on the sides of the photograph just because of that shallow depth of field. But if we zoom into the center of the frame, it looks like the iPhone is doing a little bit too much post-processing. It's starting to look a little, I guess, over sharpened. The Xiaomi looks more natural, and I mean, to be honest, they're both really good looking. I mean, I can't really pick which one I like best in this photo. In these next two photos of this red shed, by the way, I have to say, I am really impressed at the accuracy of the sky in the Xiaomi photo. It is literally one-on-one, almost identical to the color of the iPhone, at least when it comes to terms of the blue in the sky. The actual shed is not as red as it is on the Xiaomi, as I'm looking at it on this computer right now. And at face value, the iPhone definitely took the more sharp looking photo, all thanks to that deep fusion, I think it's called, yeah, deep fusion. Because even without zooming in, you can start to see the actual grain of the wood on the shed. Now in these next two photos, again, you guys will see how amazing the depth of field is naturally on the Xiaomi. Look at these two photos. I was standing pretty decent away, maybe 3 feet away, and it still produced a natural bokeh, because if you look at the tree in the background, you can see that it is slightly blurred out. So this looks fantastic because you don't have to use portrait mode on this camera at all. But let's go ahead and zoom into the lamp, and again, you will see more detail on the Xiaomi. Now, I know the color is different, way different. The iPhone, you can see more of what you're looking at, but the actual detail is less on the iPhone as compared to the Xiaomi, at least from this display I'm looking at. I mean, I was looking at them through my 5K iMac and I got the same looking kind of results. So it does really depend on what you're looking at. If you're looking at this through a phone, you guys might not be able to tell a huge difference. If you're looking at this through a 4K TV, you might be able to tell a difference. So in conclusion, is the 108 megapixel camera of the Xiaomi a gimmick? Yes and no. It's not a gimmick because you actually do see a substantial difference, but it is a gimmick because not the whole photograph is giving you those details. But I gotta say, for a phone that's $500 to $550, to include this crazy of a camera, I mean, it's not bad. My take on it is that they should work on the color temperature a little bit, because a little bit of those reds and those really bright colors are slightly off. But other than that, it's a pretty damn good camera. So guys, that is pretty much it. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, click that like button. And if you are new here, consider subscribing. This was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios. Oh wait, no, by the way, take that adios back. I'm not finished yet. I have a full review coming of this phone, including videos, photos, speed tests, battery tests, all those good stuff. If you guys are interested, subscribe for sure. And yeah, now adios.